Third Fleet USS Bastion Bridge, a few minutes before the incident. The door hissed and opened. Admiral Tarvik came into the room in a rush. "What is going on? Report," he demands. "Sir, multiple ships detected. They are just coming out of warp jump. Destination unknown, but it is likely the planet Iskar," says a shipman. "Patch me through all battle group captains," the admiral asks. Within a minute, the shipman pressed buttons and reported, "Connected, Admiral. Attention, all captains, engage zero protocol, all ships engage cloak and silence engines. I repeat, zero protocol, engage cloak and silence engines," the admiral commanded. The computer chimes. "Sir, it's Commander Tixon," the shipman reports. "Patch him through," said Admiral Tarvik. "Admiral Tarvik, something is wrong, do you feel it too?" Commander Tixon asks. That many ships just for collecting tax. 3 or 4 escort ships. Understandable, bringing a battleship. That's overkill, something is up, said Admiral Tarvik. I need permission to act in case something happens. Do I have your permission? Commander Tixon asks. I know what you mean, Commander, and my answer is no, only act in self-defense, do not engage for any other reason, I mean it, said Admiral Tarvik. Sir, with all due respect, if something happens, we can't just do nothing, Commander Tixon says worriedly. Your inquiry is duly noted, my command still stands, do not engage, Admiral out, Admiral Tarvik says with authority. Sir, they are docking, reports a shipman. Put it up, says Admiral Tarvik. The screen showed footage of the theologies docking from above. Egger and the mayor could be seen bowing. They escorted the priest, but among the docks, more and more unknown species came out of the ship. Zoom in, Admiral Tarvik commanded. The shipman zoomed in on the new species. It shook the bridge, they were a lump of meat and flesh mutilated, attaching a weapon to their arms. Sir, it's Commander Tixon, said a shipman. Patch him through, said Admiral Tarvik. Admiral, they are gathering everyone. I can see weapons, this is not looking good. Permission to act, said Commander Tarvik. Stay your hand, Commander, do not engage, out, said Admiral Tarvik. The screen showed the central village square. The populace was surrounded by the unidentified species, later revealed to be called the Judah. The Admiral saw everything unfold, the shooting of the mayor and Egger's fight against the Judah. Sir, it's the commander again, said a shipman. Tell him not to engage, we cannot be discovered. Admiral, are we not going to do anything? They are lining people to execute, said the first hand. Do not question my decision, first hand, shouted Admiral Tarvik. Sir, something is happening, said a shipman. All turned to the screen. They saw one of their elite hidden guards, uncloaking and pointing his sword at the priest. The Judah responded, pointing their weapons at him. The rest of the guards followed suit, uncloaking and pointing weapons at the Judah. A few moments later, a battle ensued, seeing that the crew looked upon their admiral for orders. Admiral, orders. Ask one shipman. The admiral was pissed, everyone could see that, behind that calm demeanor, they knew. The admiral picked up the communicator. Patch me to all ships, now. Admiral Tarvik shouted. The shipman did so quickly. Attention all ships, power up all weapons, prepare for battle, said Admiral Tarvik. He put down the communicator. Activate the railgun, aim for the big fucking ship, Admiral Tarvik commanded. As if all the ships of the fleet suddenly came to life. Their weapons powered up and the thrusters moved towards the theology ships. All of the Third Fleet moved as one, their numbers almost covering the moon. The admiral ordered the fleet to stop at railgun range. The fleet stopped a few thousand km from the planet. This was a precaution, they did not know what kind of weapon theology fleet possessed. The theology fleet began to turn broadside to the Third Fleet. The admiral, fearing a bombardment, ordered all to deploy shield drones. The admiral waited but no bombardment came. What are they doing? asked Admiral Tarvik. Railgun ready, sir, reports a shipman. Fire, Admiral Tarvik commanded. The railgun whirred and glowed blue. Moments later the large enemy battleship erupted in flames. Wadash! Admiral Tarvik says, confused. He had thought that they would put up shields or countermeasures, as it was said in the intel they had. Sir, the other vessels are falling back, reports one shipman. Fire the missiles, kill their engines, Admiral Tarvik commanded. Ships closed the distance and fired long-range missiles that hit the vessel's engines. The fleet merely guessed their location, but it proved to be correct. Prep entry teams, bring HWUs as well, eliminate or capture all crews, I want those ships clean, Admiral Tarvik commanded. Prep me a shuttle to the planet, I want to speak to Commander Tixon face to face, the Admiral added. Commander Tixon, moments after the victorious incident. Commander Tixon comes out from his hiding spot to a gruesome scene. Blood was everywhere, bodies lay everywhere, brain matter was nailed to the walls, and Judah lay dead or dying. Tixon looked around and saw the people slowly coming out of their covers, some puked, others simply were dumbfounded. LRS on me! Commander Tixon shouted. From nowhere, the light reaction squad immediately decloaked and stood at attention. Who the fuck gave the order to engage, said Commander Tixon angrily. I did, sir, one of the squad spoke up. Commander Tixon walked up to his face. And pray tell, where did you receive the order? Commander Tixon asks. Sir, do you expect me to just stay put as they kill innocent civilians, right in front of us? Answered the soldier. I expect you to follow orders, soldier, responded Commander Tixon. Sir, I will accept any punishment you give me, I do not quarrel that my actions today may have harsh consequences, said the soldier. You damn right it does, said Commander Tixon. The conversation got interrupted as 3 shuttles flew low over their heads. Tixon as well as the bodyguards looked towards the shuttles that were landing on the dock. All of them with a worried face. From the docks, a storm of soldiers rushed forth. They were wearing the same outfit as Tixon, shades of green on their clothes and helmets covering their faces. This time, however, they were sporting some kind of weapon. It had a sleek design with a tube on the side going to some kind of tank located at the waist of each soldier. The populace, upon seeing the slew of soldiers, ran for cover as the soldiers walked through the town. Few people stood out in the green mass of soldiers, a few were wearing blue and one was wearing pure white. It was Admiral Tarvik and Navy officers. The army of humans paraded through the town. Looking around, they found the Judah bodies lying in the streets, the carnage of the battle, well, it was more like a massacre. Some of the human soldiers vomited at the sight of the bodies, and some were disturbed. After a few minutes of walking through the carnage, they now were standing at the town center. Commander Tixon. What in God's name were you thinking? Admiral Tarvik shouted. The commander walked towards Tixon and the bodyguards. Commander Tixon and the bodyguards immediately went to a salute and formed a line facing the admiral. You better have an explanation for your action, or I swear to God I'll shove my gun up so far up your ass. The admiral added. Tixon was silent. His head was swirling with ideas on how to get out of this situation. He thought about lying, explaining that the execution was done to draw them out. His train of thought was cut off as one of his bodyguards talked. Sir, I am at fault, I was unable to follow orders and moved without my own accord. My soldiers followed suit. I am to blame, and for this blunder, I will accept any punishment you see fit. Says the bodyguard. The admiral, pissed out of his mind, walked up to the soldier and stared at him face to face. You do realize that you just subjected thousands of your brethren to a potential war. We are lost. Soldier, remember that, no reinforcements, no supplies, and most of all we still have no fucking clue where we are. The fucking computers have been running for 6 months and it still has not found any signs of home. We are stranded as is, and now your action will complicate things. You are fucking lucky we are low on manpower, or your ass would be in the brig. but do not forget, once we are in friendly space, your ass is terminated, said the Admiral. The soldiers and Tixon tensed up. Admiral Tarvik fixed his attire side and calmed down. Now, where is the fucking priest? I got some questions to ask, we're gonna need a room, said Admiral Tarvik. Egger's perspective. We had the priest under the militia's guard, he was apprehended and kept him in the basement, and for the next few minutes he kept shouting and insulting us. We were on the verge of just beating the shit out of him to shut him up, but we refrained from doing so. The door opened and I saw an unfamiliar uniform. Pure white in color with medals hanging at the right side of the chest, gold cloth on the uniform's pauldrons and black heavy boots. He went inside followed by Commander Tixon, his bodyguards, and lastly around a dozen soldiers who wore uniforms like Tixon. You must be Egger, the man in the white uniform says to me. Yes I am, who might you be? I ask. I am Brom Holden Tarvik, Admiral of the 3rd Fleet and Tixon's commanding officer. Pleasure to meet you, said Admiral Tarvik as he placed one arm behind him and bowed, placing his other arm near his chest. I see, so you are the Admiral. You may call me Egger. I assume you are here for the priest? I asked. I thought about kneeling and bowing but refrained, recalling what happened with Tixon. You are perceptive, Egger, and yes, we are here for the priest, Admiral Tarvik answers. The bunker door opens to a darkened room, in the middle of it all was the priest, bound. The bunker was filthy, dirt, molds, trash, it was clear that it was no longer used. We took the priest out of the bunker, still shouting, saying we were heretics, ungrateful, swearing death both at us and the humans. We took him to the same place where we talked with Tixon during initial contact. We sat the priest on the seat across the Admiral, who was taking a seat. Me and a couple of militiamen surrounded the priest, he was bound but we were not taking any chances. The Admiral was also surrounded by his entourage. I noticed that they were of various sizes and body types. Tixon was at his right side while another human wearing light blue clothes was at his left. The priest spoke first, heathens. All of you, once the theology know you are here, you are dead, all of you are. Greetings, What do we call you? Admiral Tarvik asks. You do not deserve to know, the priest says as he tries to get out of whatever he was bound by. Very well, I shall now refer to you as priest, says Admiral Tarvik. It is useless to try and wriggle your way out of that K9, it's flexible metal that hardens as time goes on, or if it's electrified. Anyway, I noticed your fleet brought a ship equivalent of a battleship for a simple tax collection, no? As far as I know, the planet had more or less enough to pay for your taxes, and yet you still went and did what you did. Care to explain, priest? Admiral Tarvik asks as he leans forward. The priest said nothing. Okay, I understand and admire your courage. It looks like we will have to seek other means to make you speak, says Admiral Tarvik. Egger, I would like for you to exit the room please, says Admiral Tarvik. Admiral, with all due respect, he killed some of my people. I think that we have the right to hear what the priest has to say. I said, trying not to keep my anger under control. Very well, says Admiral Tarvik. I was confused. How dare they tell me to get out? I was angry, but I know that they were our saviors, still they do not have the authority to make me leave. I was staying to hear what the priest had to say. We had enough to pay the taxes. We did back-breaking work in order to meet the quota, and yet this bastard of a priest still killed my friends and loved ones. A few moments later, I understood why. The Admiral simply made a gesture with his head and immediately the man on his left side walked towards the priest. In a single moment the man took one tentacle, placed it on the table and cut it. The priest screamed in agony. Our time is limited, so forgive me priest, we are gonna have to speed things up. Normally we would conduct this in our brig, you know, talk to you, make you a cup of coffee, good cop bad cop, that kind of stuff. Now you tell us what we want, of my friend here is gonna just keep on taking tentacles bit by bit, said Admiral Tarvik. You will not break me, demon. I will not tell you anything, said the priest proudly. We'll see, said Admiral Tarvik. A few minutes of the so-called talk. The humans did everything, they burned, stabbed, clubbed the priest. All the while the militia men behind me were appalled by what the humans were doing, some even had to leave. Yet I noticed that none of the humans seemed bothered by what was happening, they were just standing there not doing anything. The admiral was just sitting waiting, as the priest yelled out in pain. Eventually they stopped. Stop, looks like your lips are tight as you say, said Admiral Tarvik in admiration. He leaned his back in the chair, it creaked as he did. Ha 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 ha. You will not get anything from me, demon. Kill me and be done with it, said the priest. Tixon whispered to Admiral Tarvik. The admiral, with a look of disapproval, nodded. Tixon looked towards an officer in blue and nodded. The officer went out of the room. For minutes the room was silent except for the moans of pain from the priest. The silence was broken as the officer in blue came back with a small black box. He set it in front of the admiral. The human previously beating the priest now took a small thing, it had a pointy tip with some sort of see-through glass that had a pink-colored liquid inside. The human used his digits to flick it a few times before moving and injecting it into the priest's body. Immediately the sound of agony filled the room. That is an experimental poison, from here on out you will only feel pain, each touch is like a needle poking you, each stroke, a dagger slicing your skin, oh and as a bonus it keeps you awake to feel everything. Now let's begin again, said Admiral Tarvik. Again it started, but the screams were even worse. The priest was crying, screaming, wailing, he was shivering from the pain. Any species could not carry on such barbarity, including me. I wanted to get out, no longer could I stop myself from pitying the priest. I know that he was to blame for what happened to my people, but I can't shake the feeling. All the while this was happening, the humans were not even flinching, no movement, no one stopping what was happening. I felt something. I felt fear towards the humans. Their weapons were powerful, their army strong, their fleet numerous, and I only saw a small glimpse of their true nature. Stop. Okay, I'll talk, please no more, make it stop. The priest wailed as the human was just about to slice another piece of him. You are right, we were sent to exterminate the populace, I wanted to make them leave to avoid killing them, I ran out of time. The theology wanted to give them this planet as well as others to the Empire. We were desperate for a peace deal, we were losing the war. We only meant to kill some and make the rest leave, that was until you showed up, the priest explained. I knew something was up, they were trying to kill us all. My head was spinning, my anger towards the theology only grew stronger. I clenched my hand so hard that it punctured my skin. I wanted to kill him right here and right now, some of the militia, those that stayed behind, also were boiling in anger. It looked like the humans knew what we were thinking and stood between us and the priest. Get out of my way, human, I'm gonna kill that fucking priest, I'll gut him like the animal he is, one of the militiamen shouted. He walked towards the human gun bearing. As swift as wind the human subdued the militia man, disarming him and taking him down. Control yourself, I know you hate him but now is the time for revenge, said by one of the men subduing him. Even though he was speaking to the one they subdued, it was a message to all of us. You keep calling us demons, care to explain, said Admiral Tarvik. You are the demons the church tells us about. Creature born of the world of hell forged to exterminate all life in the universe. Creatures of pure rage, to kill, to burn, pillage and break everything. You humans are the blight of the greater universe, said the priest. We were once a part of a community of species. We helped those that needed them, to give them a chance to see the galaxy. We know of you humans, we have tried to help you before. The text shows that you denied our help. Every time we tried, we were met with stones thrown, fangs bared, you met our good intentions with violence. We determined that you were a threat to the galaxy. We wanted to exterminate you. We explained to the council that if you were to become able to explore space, you would kill everything. The council denied our request, so we left, deleting all information of our existence to protect ourselves. That was more than 10,000 solar years ago. We isolated ourselves and created a dead zone, millions light years of dead space just beyond the planet, believing that we were safe. We moved on. Explained the priest. The priest turned to us and said, the galaxy outside of ours is no doubt dead, now they are here to destroy ours. I looked towards the humans, waiting for someone to talk. I did not want to believe him, but somewhere in me did. The look in Tixon and Tarvik's eyes tells me something dark. Was the priest right? Was he? Are these people here to destroy? My thoughts swirling, I needed answers, I needed them now. Admiral Tarvik stands and said, the priest is correct.